Throughout history, punishment was rarely equal. In many societies, women face forms of discipline designed not just to punish, but to silence, control, and humiliate. Some devices were legal, some were religious, some were cultural traditions enforced through fear. Today, we examine 10 historical punishment devices and methods that were commonly used against women, not to glorify them, but to understand how power shaped justice. 1. The Scold's Bridle, 16th to 17th century Britain. Used primarily in Scotland and England, the Scold's Bridle was an iron mask placed over a woman's head, a metal plate pressed down on the tongue preventing speech. Women accused of gossip, nagging, or speaking out were publicly paraded while wearing it. It wasn't meant to kill, it was meant to silence. 2. The Ducking Stool, Europe and colonial America. Women labeled as scolds or accused of witchcraft were strapped to a chair attached to a long beam. They were repeatedly plunged into water. The goal was humiliation and intimidation. It became a public spectacle, reinforcing obedience through fear. 3. The Witch's Chair, medieval Europe. This iron chair was covered in spikes. Accused witches, most of them women, were forced to sit restrained for long periods. The device symbolized the paranoia of the witch trials. Fear replaced evidence. 4. The Iron Gag, Europe. A metal instrument forced into the mouth to prevent speech, sometimes used during public punishments. Again, the symbolism was clear. Silence the woman. 5. The Ducking Stool. Similar to the ducking stool, but sometimes used for public shaming without immersion. Women were displayed before crowds for immoral behavior. Reputation was often destroyed permanently. 6. The Branks Mask, Scotland. Another form of iron head cage. Some versions included spikes inside. It was used against women accused of witchcraft or verbal defiance. Public humiliation was the primary objective. 7. The Chastity Belt, medieval Europe. Debated use. While its widespread use is debated among historians, chastity belts became symbolic of controlling women's sexuality. Whether myth or rare reality, the concept itself reveals societal anxiety over female autonomy. 8-foot binding, China, 10th to 20th century. Not a torture device in the legal sense, but a cultural practice. Young girls' feet were tightly bound to prevent growth. It caused lifelong pain and deformity. It was considered beauty, but it was also control. 9. The Shrew's Fiddle, Germany and Scotland. A wooden restraint device that locked a woman's neck and hands together, used to punish quarrelsome behavior. Victims were displayed publicly. Again, shame as punishment. 10. The Collar of Shame, the various European regions. Metal collars or wooden boards were placed around a woman's neck, often inscribed with accusations. The punishment targeted dignity rather than life. Most of these punishments had one thing in common. They targeted speech, independence, reputation, or sexuality. They reveal how deeply historical societies feared women who stepped outside prescribed roles. Today, these devices sit in museums. They are reminders, not tools. Reminders of how far human rights have evolved and how important it is to protect them.